Welcome. You have made it to Living Limitless, Play Your Way to Freedom. We are gathered here with you. We're joining with you as you connect, play, and awaken your power, your freedom, and your expansiveness. I am so excited to speak with Michele Ray today. If you don't know her already, I would love for you to know that she is a master transformational coach. She is the founder of The Center Within and author of Living from the Center Within, Co-Creating Who You Are Becoming. You can follow her work at centerwithin.com. Michele provides guidance navigating the transformative shift that we are individually and collectively engaged in as we expand our awareness and access higher consciousness. She helps clients and students step more fully into their power and release what no longer serves them while creating a holistic life that they love personally and professionally. So I'm so excited for you all to hear more about her. And so, Michele, I would love to hear in your own words a bit more about your work and especially what inspires you to continue to stay in the work. So, Michele.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Andrea. I really appreciate it. And thank you for putting this series together and to have all of us presenters have an opportunity to be out in the world with our wisdom, experience, encouragement, support. Now more than ever, we are looking to find people who are moving in the direction of co-creating who we are becoming. As you said, the tagline in my book is. And so I am, as you said, a transformational coach. And it has been a passion of mine my whole life, this curiosity about human development. And how do we find out who we are, what our passions are, our strengths, our values? And how do we make all of our choices throughout the day in alignment with that? And you asked about what's inspired me and what's inspired me to continue with this. And I have to say, you know, on the one hand, what inspires me is the suffering that I experience in my life and when I'm out of alignment with who I am, with my essence, with my values and strengths and gifts, right? And the delight and comfort and peace and the ability to be who I am, authenticity, that happens when I'm in alignment. And so for my own getting to know myself and continuing to dig deeper and remove the beliefs that are limiting, right? And the self-talk that's negative, and move into stepping into my power in a way that isn't arrogant, but is in a way where I want to live in my power. I want you to live in my power. And then I have to admit, over these last few decades, while I've been involved in this process, watching the ahas, watching the eyes light up when my clients really see themselves in their full glory, in their full power. And then they move out into the world and live from and make choices from that place of knowing their authentic essence and self. That reward for me continues to inspire me every day. And sometimes the ahas look like, you know, oh my word, I never saw myself that way. I really see that. Or it can look like tears, right? Of, oh my gosh, I have kept myself small way too long. And both and all of those reactions from clients keep me coming back to this work, which is hard and rewarding, all wrapped in one.
Right. Wow. I love that. I'm like, can I sign up? I love I can relate to the piece of, oh, I've been playing small for so long. Um, I've kind of ridden the wave of courage and then not courage and then courage and then not courage. So I can relate to that so much, to that client to which you refer. So I hear you. I'd love to know a little bit more about your evolution. It does. What I'm hearing you say is that this was it was a slowly stepping more into this exact form of your work at this time. But a lot of us who are in this field had a more of a breakdown moment to break through. And so I'd love to hear just a little bit about how you shifted into this field, and was it abrupt, or was it more gradual?
Both, yes, I would say there's definitely been breakdowns and breakthroughs along the way, and it's been gradual. I think for me, like many of us who are empaths or energetically sensitive, there was a way, even as a child, where I felt different in my body when I was in a relaxed place. I was outside in my favorite place versus being around people, let's say, who were bristly. And so I continued as a child and as a young adult to learn about boundaries, learn what was mine, what wasn't mine, and then began to study things about the body, the mind body connection. I began to work with yoga. I began to study Reiki and therapeutic touch and chant and mystery school traditions, and just continue to learn. And in all of that, continuing to get to know myself as a human being and the multiple dimensional, right, aspects of who I am. There were definitely times that felt like an integration period. And then there were definitely times that were breakdown and breakthrough. So in my story, I was a registered pharmacist, still am in my first, life, which seemed practical and all that kind of stuff. And then I did all this studying around energy and consciousness and awareness and mindfulness. And I
Mm.
also spent many years in leadership in healthcare, as
Mhm.
I've always had this passion around human development. And then there would get to these places, like you were talking, I'd be confident and I would not be, right? And I took a job, I remember, that felt outside of my scope, and I
Mhm.
completely had a meltdown and had to really put my big girl pants on, right? To be able to come back in. I had the ability to learn what I needed to, but I was, felt in over my head. I remember there was a time I had done a retreat where I really touched into some of my own shadow work. And I spent 3 days really in a fetal position, feeling the ways I had made choices in my life that were causing suffering, not only for me, but those people around me. And to come to terms with that and to move through those healing moments. Dark nights of the soul is one of the
Mm.
things we call it. So I believe that as we continue to expand and become more whole and move into our holiness, there are pathways or various barriers that we pass through, kind of like the heroine's journey. We
Mhm.
have these various things that come up for us to transcend. And each one of those feels like a breakdown and then a breakthrough and then a period of integration. And then we get to another level where we shift past another barrier. And fortunately, if we stick with it long enough, you're like, oh, darn, I thought I'd already dealt with this issue. But
Mhm.
here it is again at a deeper level, more subtle level. So yes, this process is not for wussies, really. It
Yeah.
takes a commitment.
Yes, I love that. I've seen the heroine's journey depicted as a spiral, and then it also what's coming up right now for me is that I think a lot of people think that our spiritual evolution and our wholeness and our awakeness is just going to be, just this continuously like per beautiful, perfect path, or that you get enlightened and then you're just smooth sailing and everything's chill. And it turns out that once you get on this adventure, you may feel that in the beginning, like, oh, I just learned a bunch of stuff. I'm so great now. And then the reality is that it's like, yay. And then, oh, turbulence and breakdown, and then if you deal with it, oh, you get to, learn a bit more, and now you're up here, and then okay, up. So it's really more up, and more like a mountain range.
That's a great way of putting it. It's a wonderful metaphor. And it is a process and it's not linear.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that so vulnerably. I'd love to. We could spend the rest of our conversation on the dark night of the soul and pick that apart and the heroine's journey. And yet, I really want to serve our audience and talk a bit, if you're open to it, talk a bit about what you recommend when you what works for you and what you might also recommend when you hit a trigger, when you are coming up against something that doesn't resonate, that isn't in your vibration, or if things aren't going the way you expected and you start to feel like a trigger happening. Can you share with us any of the practices that you use in that moment of coming up against that?
I can. There's actually an entire chapter in my book dedicated to what I call transformative practices.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, the process that I use is, first of all, I have to notice either in my body, I have to notice my behavior change, I have to notice my emotions or
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts. And once I can notice that, then I can notice that I've been triggered.
Mm.
And then I can choose to have a pause, right? And then I can choose to reverse that sympathetic, well, sometimes we call it amygdala hijack, right? That triggered fight and flight, hyper arousal,
Mm.
protect and defend. And then I will apply or choose to engage in a transformative practice. And they can be everything from taking a deep breath in and out, which activates that parasympathetic nervous system and can return me to balance. It can be imagery, guided imagery, remembering my favorite vacation place and having 5 senses. What did it smell like, taste like, feel like being at the beach? I also can reach out to a support person. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a number of different transformative practices I use that are inner self-regulating. I can go for a walk in nature. I
Mm.
can do a variety of different breathing techniques. And I also then can engage in the moment to be able to reach out to a network, as you and I both, as experienced practitioners, healers, leaders, and teachers, know that we have our own people that we get massage from or we get energy treatments from. So I think having a deep toolbox that helps us to be able to grow our mindfulness skills is very helpful. And Andrea, I would also say that I think about those skills, those transformative practices skills, we can use them in the moment we're triggered, but we can also use them when we're not triggered, right? Do yoga for a half an hour, do a meditation for half an hour when you're in a good place. And it literally builds that muscle of resilience, that muscle of training our bodies to be able to be triggered, recognize it, and return to balance more quickly. If we are willing to live mindfully when we're triggered, as well as to move us along that bumpy path towards enlightenment that you were just talking about.
Yes. Wow, I love that. I wrote down have a deep toolbox of transformative processes. I love that. And that's so true. And that's what I'm loving about this series is sharing openly some of the tools that work for us and that we recommend so that we can, continue to support and offer guidance to anyone who is listening who's looking for that right now, who's feeling a bit stuck. And so thank you very much for sharing those. And on that note, you did one of the ways that you mentioned that we can stay in balance is to meditate. And so I would love to experience, and I'm sure our viewers would love to experience a meditation with Michele Ray. Would you be open to that today?
I would very much, Andrea. That's
Excellent. Excellent.
yeah. So I will invite everyone to wiggle around, stretch a bit, if you
Mm.
can, wherever you're listening to this. And if you can, just bring your attention into this present moment fully. You know, if you're in a spot that you're not driving or someplace that you'd put yourself in danger, you might want to have a soft gaze or even close your eyes. And let's find our breath. Maybe taking a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth, signaling to our body, our minds, our heart, it's time to relax. And as you're breathing in and out, to further deepen your attention into this present moment, notice what you're hearing. Maybe it's a little something in the outer world. Maybe it's your own heartbeat or your breath. What are you feeling? Is there clothing against your skin? Are you being supported as you lay or sit? What are you smelling, tasting, or even seeing? Seeing with your eyes or seeing with your inner imagination eye. Anytime we rest a bit of our attention on our senses, it brings our awareness into the present moment. So breathing in and breathing out, fully alert and fully relaxed. I invite you to imagine something that you are very grateful for. Maybe it's a person, an event, and allow that sense of gratitude and appreciation to open your heart. When we call to mind gratitude, it literally brings our biofield into coherence and resonance. The wisdom of the heart becomes ignited and turned on, and that signal of your bioenergetic signature flows in and through and as your body, further relaxing and aligning your body, mind, heart. And finally, breathing in and breathing out. Invite this powerful presence beyond your physical body into the space around you. Your etheric and energetic body, your soul. And as your presence radiates outward, it is a gift and a blessing that permeates the entire field of consciousness, this entire morphic field. So breathing in and breathing out, knowing that this sense of balance will continue to align you throughout this day and maybe even beyond. Know that this gift of mindfully bringing your attention and awareness into the present moment, feeling grateful and allowing that resonance to permeate your body, mind, and heart and flow out is available to you at any time. You choose to take a few minutes to reset, to recalibrate, and to refresh. So once again, I'll invite you to fully return your attention to your breath and wiggle your fingers and toes and stretch a bit. Ooh, that felt kind of yummy.
I got very calm there, very relaxed. Oh. I also had some eye fluttering going on. That was fun. And sometimes I have heard that my understanding is that intense energy can cause technology issues. And the sound started to get really interesting. I wonder if that will be picked up in the recording, but your voice got, it was really interesting. It became a bit booming in a good way. It was really, really interesting. Really interesting. I can't even explain it. It just got very expanded and louder. It was really fun. So we'll see if that sound came through. That was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. My sits bones are feeling better too, because at someday I'm getting a better chair, and so you kind of helped me balance out the lower back there. Thank you. And so what's resonating for me is to talk a little bit about play. I feel like when we get back into the moment and start paying attention, I feel like that's more like how children move through the world. And so, since the title of the series is Living Limitless, Play Your Way to Freedom, I'd love to know how you incorporate play in your personal life and your working life, and how that might help you step into your power and freedom and expansiveness.
One of the things that I correlate with play is noticing the magic and the miracles that happen all day long.
Hmm?
So, cultivating our intuition, paying attention to synchronicity,
Mm,
thinking about things more in the myth and symbol realm. I don't know, I noticed on my way into the office today, there were 3 different hawks sitting on lights on the freeway as I was coming in. So I just took in the blessing of the hawk energy, and it feels playful. It feels magical. It feels like I'm part of an interconnected world. And the play for me is in this exchange. So one of my favorite places to play in that exchange is outdoors. So to be able to get outside and be able to breathe in or stand next to a tree or feel, do a little tree pose or a little qigong or yoga outside, breathing in. So for me, moving is another way that's playful, helps this body, this vessel that contains all of our energetic components, be able to feel alive. I also really enjoy the sensual part of being human. I enjoy smells, right? Taking a bubble bath with my favorite Epsom salt. I enjoy candles. I enjoy good food. I enjoy a lovely glass of red wine. We talked earlier about some of the products and supplements that we're using right now. I enjoy a great smoothie in the morning with some
mm,
great antioxidants and some great things to boost my body. Cooking is another way I play. It's a way that I can infuse it with my love and
mhm.
be able to bless all that comes into this body, that I can serve it, right, as I serve in my capacities. So for me, play is both things I take time and set aside, listening to music, reading a good book, watching a funny movie, and also play throughout the day. It's more for me almost a way of perceiving and interacting on a regular basis as well.
I love that. Oh my gosh, the beginning of what you said, noticing the magic. Ooh, that already makes me. My kids and I just started reading the Harry Potter series. I found a gorgeous book that has these pop outs in it. I guess it's a new thing, and it's if you're going to start your kids pretty young, I thought, wow, what a great way to get them into the book by having these awesome visuals. And when you just said notice the magic, that's so interesting because I wasn't going to share this, but when we were meditating, when you were guiding us through meditation, um, while my eyes were closed, I was having kind of, some fun spots and things showing up. And there was a moment, and it was like this pink flare that kind of went by, but it was much closer. Like it felt more present than all the other, just dots. And and what came to mind was that someone had just taken like a wand, like a little miniature wand, just went across my vision, and this fun, very textural light pink just went whoa right across my vision. And so I wasn't going to mention that, but since you just said notice the magic, I feel like that all just kind of tied together with notice the magic and reading Harry Potter right now to my children, and then the wand, the pink sparkles that went through my during your meditation. So thank you for reminding me about play, in my own life.
Yeah, and thank you for having it be a part of this series, because I do believe when we return to that childlike innocence, right, the natural play, along with having all of our lifetime of wisdom, it really is an important component. And we cannot take ourselves too seriously or we get out of balance. So I'm delighted that play is a part of this series.
Yay. I'm so glad that that's something that drew you forward when I reached out to you. That play, it's interesting. And it's interesting as I was building as the concept was coming forward, I really, they say to teach what your soul most wants to get back to. And so you've been talking so much today about moving through our limitations. And so I know that my old story is a story filled with limitation, filled with self-imposed restriction, and then seriousness, this, grindstone kind of stuff. So when my old story comes up, it's like those are the pieces that I want to bring myself back towards that awakened, reawakening and living without those limitations and back in the play. And so I love that when I reached out to you, that spoke to you. I would just want to bring play forward. Can we all just, can we all just go outside and make a big circle and skip in a circle like we did when we
Yes.
were in kindergarten?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for that resonating with you. And we talked a bit about practices. I feel like when we were talking about triggers, you spoke so clearly about the transformative, and I said transformative practices. I love that, and I really liked how you talked about there's ways to respond to triggers in the moment, and then there's also having practices so that we can. I think you had said notice the trigger, notice it rising, and then make a choice, and then come back to that state of balance. So and the faster we can move through it instead of succumbing to the trigger, which as a mom of young children, I look at moments and I think, oh boy, I fell into the trigger pretty hard there. So it sounds like you have some beautiful practices. And I also, I just want to make sure that we talk a bit about, I don't know, I'd love to hear from you said you opened your storefront in 2001 and that your path was really long, really a natural, it sounded like there was a lot of natural evolution. So I'd love to hear from you when I say living limitless. What does what comes forward for you and in your wisdom and in your experience?
I am so delighted, Andrea, with that phrase, because what I feel like is I continue to get to know myself as a multidimensional being, right? So I have this physical body, and It's limitless in how good I can take care of it, right? I have this heart that continues to understand love, for instance, in a way that's not tied to, say, a particular person or a particular biological, right? It's a limitless, it's more like a candle flame when it's shared. It's just twice as bright. My mind feels like it's being bent open to look at and genuinely explore possibilities that I hadn't considered a minute ago, a day ago, an hour ago. And not only is this happening in me and finding my soul family and connecting with people outside of time and space and feeling that connection, but I also see this limitless possibilities in the collective of humanity. We have created some messes here, right? We have created, was we're talking about this personally restrictive, right? Personally playing small. We are more and more aware that some of the systems we are outgrowing that are either oppressive or have entitlement built into them or are greedy to the point that it's not sustainable, we're really looking at our healthcare system, our education system, our political system, our financial, our spiritual, our religious. I mean, we can name all of them. And are there new, limitless, creative ways that we can be bringing in systems that we didn't know about before that can really support our expansion as humanity, where everybody counts, where we move out of this limited fear and scarcity model that is so unnecessary. And if we can understand that that is a choice to stay in fear, to stay attached to old limiting ways of being in the world, and we can move into this new era, right, and transform through this messy birth that we're doing, birthquake that's happening, into this expanded, limitless way of thinking, and come together with people who have an interest in what we do, health and well-being, again, education, whatever it is, that are back to co-creating who we are becoming from a brand new beginner's mind, open heart. I believe there's all kinds of information coming in the imaginal realms, like the place where imagination is. We're at the cutting edge of understanding how to create systems that are sustainable and supportive in ways that we hadn't before. I mean, just think about even examples like the internet, right? Or Uber or Airbnb. I mean, they didn't exist really in any way in our ideas, even just a couple years ago relative. And so I want to, like you, encourage people to set down their limitations and be open to what comes in your dreams, what comes in your intuition, what comes in conversations, what you're noticing in synchronicity. Follow up on those relationships that you're not even sure why, but you can feel the pull, and go into the limitless and create the world from there.
Wow. I'm so on board with everything that you shared. I love the piece about choice, is that we could always in any moment step back into our power and step back into I think you had said like that beginner's mind, like the before any trauma, before any misbeliefs kind of programmed, we allowed ourselves to believe that those situations meant something about us. And then we turn that into a value structure, and then we live from that limited mindset or that limited place. So that's really resonating, everything you're sharing. And let's take action, stay in the work, and get out there and vote, etc. Do all sorts of the things that create shift and open that up for every individual. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And let's see, I'm looking at our time and I'm wanting to be respectful to our viewers. And since speaking of viewer or audience member or person out there listening, because we're hoping to have a hands-free option as well. So if you are listening, I'd love for Michele for you to share a way a way to open the door to possibly someone who's really resonating and working with you. Is there a perk or a gift that you would love to share to someone who's new to your work? Love to hear about that. And how can we get it?
Yeah. Well, I have offered Andrea a link to a guided meditation. It's a 13-minute, professionally developed, beautiful music guide to your center within. And
Mm.
so it's an offering today for you, the viewers, to be able to have an opportunity to be infused with love and light and the guidance to move to your own empowered center within. And as you're saying, Andrea, it has a piece around call to action to be of service in whatever way aligns with your heart song
Mm.
individually as a viewer.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. I look forward to clicking there and hearing it. I'm a huge fan of Insight Timer. My husband uses Calm, and these are apps if in 20 years these still exist when this someone watches this in the future. But I do really love that. I love the timer aspect. And I love the people who have a voice that resonates with me and maybe the way that they tell stories. I really enjoy that. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I find that that's a good thing to set next to my bed and then drift off. It's really nice. So I look forward to hearing yours and still focused on an ideal person out there. If someone's watching right now who's looking at you and hearing you and it's really resonating and great transformation can happen for them or a reawakening or a shift gets to happen and unfolding in their life. If that person is wanting to work with you or could really grow by working with you, what would you like to say to that person?
I would say for sure reach out. And I enjoy tremendously the one on one coaching work with people. I have clients all over the world. We use Zoom and other various mechanisms to connect face to face technologically. Anyone here in the Twin Cities, I do have an office when we are back feeling comfortable with that. And I also offer a number of different courses online that are a deeper dive into the process of transformation, the process of being human. I have a couple of different people that I'm working with that we've co-creating some courses, which has been amazing. And you can find the latest offerings for those kind of group coachings where we get to connect in a group, as well as how to connect with me for one-on-one coaching. And the other piece is if there's an organization that you're interested in or a group that you would like some assistance with in the transformative process, going from good to great, diving deeper into the optimal, enlightened, awakened, empowered state of being. I also work with organizations, nonprofits, those kinds of things. So wherever it is that you're ready to take that next step, that deeper step into your more authentic self, by all means, reach out.
Yeah. Thank you. I definitely heard so much leadership and background. It's so interesting and what a perfect marriage. You have the pharmaceutical background, so the medical, and then you have the healthcare leadership and helping organizations transform their work environment. I I'm just really excited to continue to follow your work and hear your meditation. And I just really want to say thank you to you, Michele, for joining us today, for sharing from your heart, for being vulnerable, for being real, for guiding us in the with the tools and also the guided meditation. That was really lovely, and I'm just grateful for your presence today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I look forward to continuing to connect with leaders and healers and teachers through this and beyond, those of us who are moving out into the world during this new era creation and being able to support each other and be in community.
Yes, we will continue to lead and be in partnership. I love it. So I want to say thank you also to you, the viewer. This has been Living Limitless. Play your way to freedom. We have joined here today to talk about connection, play, reawakening, stepping into your power, stepping into your freedom, becoming more expansive and raising our vibration to a higher consciousness. I really look forward to you joining us again next time. This is Andrea Luzon, and thank you again.